And welcome back to our Made Conversations series. I'm Mike Cerulli, political reporter at News 8.
And I'm Melissa Sheketoff, host of Melissa in the Morning on WICC, and we're into episode 4 today, and we're talking innovation.
Episode 4 on the campus of Yale University right here in New Haven. We're going back to school, Melissa.
I love it.
Neither of us went to Yale.
No,
Nonetheless, we are here on the campus of Yale University for the Yale Innovation Summit. We've been at a lot of these gatherings, whether it's organized by the state. I've covered a lot. I know you've done a lot with CBIA. We're going to talk with DiPentima, the head of that organization. The point being, we go to a lot of these conferences. You get the thing around your neck, the lanyard. I'm searching for the word there.
Yes, here it is.
Where's
yours?
Mine might still be at the table up there.
Yeah, it's okay.
Having been to a lot of these, this one's special. There's a lot of heavy hitters here.
Mm-hmm. And I think, too, what I really love about these types of conversations is certainly we talk about networking, right? I mean, that's the big thing, is getting connected to so many people around the state. But I think we're also trying to get rid of maybe the misconceptions people have about innovation and what does that really mean? I mean, as soon as you hear about AI or you hear about, technological advances, people naturally, a lot of the times, not all, but many people start to get kind of nervous and they think, well, robots are taking over, so I want nothing to do with it, when in reality, actually, a lot of the times that's not the case at all. So It's exciting.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. We had that conversation, as I mentioned, with DiPentima from the Connecticut Business and Industry Association. One of the things we talk about is innovation isn't just robotic arms and automated workflows. It's also organizational innovation. It's HR innovation. Right. It's supply chain innovation. So looking forward to sharing that conversation with all of our listeners. We also talked with some folks from BioCT and the state's Department of Economic and Community Development, also those sort of convening authorities in Connecticut trying to bring together companies and share what they've learned about innovating.
Yeah, and how do you connect those into different industries? I know when we were talking to the state about, how do you take something like manufacturing? I mean, we've really focused in Connecticut the last 3 to 4 years, especially on manufacturing, getting younger people into it, really breaking some of the, again, just thoughts of like you're working in a dingy sort of a factory. That's not really happening. And a huge reason is because of the technological advances people have and innovation that's now being incorporated. So it's I think, very eye-opening and kind of pull the lens back and really understand what are we talking about when we say innovation.
Yeah, and one of the things about this Yale Innovation Summit is that, again, a lot of the conferences we go to, they're amazing. They convene folks from Connecticut, maybe from the region. There's a global presence here at Yale. You have folks from all over the world coming in. There's a lot of pitch competitions. There's a lot of networking events. There's a lot of coffee and lanyards.
Yes, and we love that. Thank you, Yale, for that. No, I think it's really an exciting time for obviously anybody who is at the summit today and is part of the MADE series. And I think we're going to have great conversations right here on the podcast today because, again, we have some really major hitters in the state who really understand this, and they break it down and make it very understandable. So.
Yes, they do, and it's exciting to hear about. So
Agreed.
Looking forward to sharing those conversations with you, and we'll see you when we come back on MADE Conversations. And welcome back to Made Conversations. So happy to be joined today by Jodi Gillon of BioCT. Jodi, we're here on the lovely campus of Yale University in the great city of New Haven. Tell us what we're doing here today.
So we're here for the Yale Innovation Summit. I call this the pinnacle meeting in Connecticut of the year. And I say that as BioCT is an organizer of our own events. But this is the meeting that pulls, folks from all around the country, all around other countries, everyone in the state in our fields across 5 different tracks is at this meeting today and tomorrow.
I mean, there's a lot for people who don't have the opportunity to be here today. There's so much to take in. But what would you say are some of the most exciting, innovative parts of today's event?
Well, we just came from a MADE kickoff, so I think that really, set the stage of what's happening here. I think what's incredible, too, are all the events happening around the Innovation Summit, too. So yesterday, I was a judge at a health AI symposium. I couldn't believe the technology coming out of the state. I think every investor needs to look at, the winners from yesterday and be jumping on that. So I'm really blown away, not just what's happening here, what we're going into, what's happening tomorrow, all the networking opportunities, but all the events around this event too.
So those of us who are in the Connecticut news business or pay attention to Connecticut news, we hear a lot from state leaders, from the governor, from others about how Connecticut has this biotech industry. Tell us, that might not be well known to the broader public. What is it about Connecticut that makes it so well suited for this industry?
So BioCT is actually the life science trade organization for the state of Connecticut. So that's everything from biotech, biopharma, med device, AI, quantum, the whole gamut, because there's so much overlap. And Advanced CT put out a report. There's over 1,500 establishments in life sciences in the state of Connecticut. So that's a huge ecosystem for the state. These are also probably the most well-educated, some of the highest paying jobs. So if you think about, the workforce, the taxes, the whole economy around that, the talent that we're bringing into the state, it's quite a powerful sector. I do sometimes joke, though, that we're one of the best kept secrets in the state of Connecticut. So part of our role is actually to promote what we're doing in Connecticut, make sure that everyone outside of Connecticut realize how catalyzed the ecosystem is here.
I mean, I don't know if we're allowed to ask this, Mike, but I'm going to, Jodi. I mean, do you mind giving us sort of an idea? You were saying that you had this opportunity of being a judge, which I never envy people who are in that position because the talent that comes out of Connecticut is just unbelievable. But give us an idea. What kind of medical advances, tech are you seeing, or have you seen just this weekend?
Yeah, it's incredible. So my passion, I come from a patient perspective. I was a patient officer at, large pharma and, startups. So for me, innovation in my space is a paradigm shift to solve a problem that typically involves patients. But it's not always a drug. Sometimes it could be, an artificial intelligence tool, to help diagnose patients or to become much more efficient. So yesterday, the winner was around organ transplantation. Oh, wow. How do we get more efficient in terms of making sure organs get to the right people in time, leveraging artificial intelligence, and that saves lives. And that's what gets me excited. The innovation that's having an impact directly on patients.
Can you talk about sort of the sedimentary layers of building an innovative space, meaning an innovative state, right? We think, of course, of Silicon Valley with its industries, with its technology. We think of other places as Seattle that has anchor employers, and Microsoft and Boeing that have created and spurred other industries. We think of places like the Research Triangle where that's primarily rooted in academics. What is it about Connecticut that we have here that sort of adds to that mix and allows us to build an innovative state and innovative community?
Yeah, so this question just came up in this morning's panel, and I see two typical trajectories. So we have Yale and UConn, right? Two incredible academic institutions, top in the country. And they are spinning out companies faster than I can keep track of them. So I think that's one trajectory, the homegrown trajectory. The other are the anchors here, right? So Pfizer, we manufactured the COVID vaccine right here in Groton. Boehringer Ingelheim, their US headquarters are here. Medtronic, we have these anchors in the state, and then we're luring other companies here as well, either, to come here or to set up their US division here. And what I love most about Connecticut is when we do that, we all band together to make sure that we are putting on our best show. So we'll get together, with Yale, with UConn, with the state, with Advanced CT, the New Haven Chamber, Connecticut Innovations, which is the venture capital arm of the state. And we all come together to make sure it's clear everything that's offered, because there are so many good ideas out there and a lot of good ideas fail. You need to make sure that you put everything in place to cook up the raw ingredients to be able to have a successful, innovative idea, to get it through the 12 years and, $1 billion that it takes to bring a drug to market.
Yeah, I think it's all really exciting, especially when you bring up AI. I know we talk to doctors all the time and the excitement that they see in the hospitals and a lot of our, I think, medical systems. And I think you touch on so many great things today, Jodi. And I just want to thank you so much for being part of, this amazing event and also being part of our Made series. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, honored to be here. Thank you.
Such a great time. We'll be right back with more. And welcome back to Made Conversation. So happy to be joined now by Dave Steuber. He is the Chief of Staff at the Department of Economic and Community Development. That's the state's economic development agency. We've had the Commissioner, Dan O'Keefe, on. We've had Anthony on. You all work together. So it's great to have you.
That's right. Yeah,
with
real
us.
pleasure to be here.
What's it like working with those guys?
It's tremendous working with them. We have a lot of fun doing the work that we do, but it's great to work every day to help make Connecticut's economy a more dynamic place, and to work on innovation and to work with so many great businesses and hardworking people all over the state.
And you've got a lot of them here at the Yale Innovation Summit. I imagine Absolutely. This is like you're like kid in a candy store right now. You've got some of the top employers, the top innovators in the world. What does the state view as the goal of events like these?
The goal of events like this is probably, I'd say, twofold. One is just to kind of showcase so many of the tremendous things that we have happening here in Connecticut. There are world-leading innovations that happen in Connecticut on a daily basis, and an event like today is an opportunity to show that off to people from all across the country and around the world about the best and brightest minds that we have here in Connecticut and some of the exciting things that are happening. But beyond that, it's also just about the networking and the connections. It's about showing people within Connecticut also about the things that are going on here and helping to make those kind of unplanned connections between people who have compatible ideas, and hope that some very interesting research projects, maybe business ideas, will come out of the discussions that happen in this building today.
Dave, how is the state focusing, I like to say like hyper-focusing on innovation, AI, and is there sort of an investment specifically in that?
Yeah, absolutely. The state's investing in innovation in Connecticut in a variety of ways. The first thing that I'll highlight is probably our Innovation Clusters program, which is coming to a head. We announced this actually at this conference a year ago, so it's been quite a process kind of leading up to hopefully an announcement this summer. This is a $100 million capital program that's focused on the application of emerging technologies like artificial intelligence and quantum computing to some of our core industries here in Connecticut. So thinking about advanced manufacturing, biotechnology, insurance, finance, just to name a few. But we're very open-ended in our approach to it. And so we invited people from all across the state of Connecticut to make pitches for how they wanted to create a multifaceted project facilitating collaboration between industry partners, academia, and others to apply those emerging technologies to some of our core industries. And so we started off with 32 different concepts from across the state of Connecticut. We narrowed that down to 3 finalists that are currently being scored and judged right now. But we're very excited about the potential that's going to kind of come out of that. And I think you're going to see some very interesting things, and we should have some exciting announcements to make this summer about AI and quantum. And how we can help to facilitate the growth of those industries here and to keep our longstanding industries in Connecticut on the cutting edge as technology continues to push forward all across the world.
I want to hone in on that, this idea. We obviously have some great incumbents here in Connecticut, folks that have been innovating back to the dawn of even before the age of the semiconductor. We're talking about the internal combustion engine era of
the Industrial
of
Revolution
innovation.
started here in Connecticut. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think I want to ask you that sort of triaging or segmentation of the incumbents that you're looking to help innovate and sharpen their edge, the new guys here, whether it's through Yale Ventures or other sort of startup communities. How do you balance and look at, we want to help the small guys, we want to help them innovate, we want to help the big guys sharpen up? Where's that? Is there a synergy there, or is it sometimes you have to balance the interests of the two?
You try to do both. I mean, like we have, like if you take, say, for instance, like the defense manufacturing sector, this goes all the way back in Connecticut to the Revolutionary War. George Washington called Connecticut the provision state, right?
Yeah.
You then flash forward to the Colt manufacturing facilities up in Hartford, where this is where so many of the weapons for the Civil War were produced. The famous kind of cowboy revolvers, right? That came up to in the World War II area. So many of the airplanes that
down in Stratford,
the one war were built here in Connecticut, and that continues to this day with Pratt & Whitney, Electric Boat, and Sikorsky. And so we look to kind of continue to kind of cultivate an ecosystem of innovation kind of around some of our major defense companies there. Today, it's all about automation and robotics and the application of AI kind of within those manufacturing spaces. But not only are those major kind of like we call them our prime companies, those big name manufacturers, those are important. We want to help them continue to evolve and push the envelope of technology here in Connecticut. But there are many, many smaller companies that supply those companies, those major manufacturers. And so we want to help them to kind of grow and innovate as well. And so it isn't really just about any one particular company or even any one sector. We want to kind of create an ecosystem of innovation across the entire state.
It strikes me as interesting. You mentioned the prime defense manufacturers. We were just talking about biotech and the biospace.
Sure.
One thing that those two things have in common is that they both exist in ecosystems that are incredibly long term, whether it's the approval process through the FDA or the defense procurement process, which might even be more complicated. Are you doing things to kind of help those companies come into the 21st century? Not that they need help coming into the 21st century building F-35s and vaccines, but are you doing things trying to speed up those processes, help the new entrants into those fields sort of navigate what can be a pretty daunting environment?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We do want to help them to continue to innovate. We do that by supporting, research partnerships with our universities across the state. But we also, shifting away from some of the bigger companies a little bit, we would try to support an ecosystem of innovation that facilitates new startup businesses. Because a lot of the way that many larger corporations will innovate is through acquiring startups where new technology gets pioneered and it gets proven out in terms of the concept, and then that gets adopted. And so that's something that we're trying to do through our work with Connecticut Innovations across the state of Connecticut, also through our new Office of Innovation at DECD that's very focused on kind of cultivating those early stage startups and entrepreneurs so that we can help them to build really successful businesses here in Connecticut. And that kind of technology development that startups facilitate, it percolates throughout the entire economy and the whole ecosystem.
I think it's really exciting. And Dave, I know you said we have a lot of announcements that are coming up, so don't forget about myself or Mike. We're going to want to know about those announcements. We want to get those out there. Thank you so much. Yes, please do. We appreciate it.
Great to have you here. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Made Conversations. We're really happy to be joined now by someone who'll be a familiar face to many in the Connecticut business community. It's Chris DiPentima, the president and CEO of the Connecticut Business and Industry Association. For those that don't know, the CBIA, sort of the voice of employers and businesses here in Connecticut. Chris, welcome to the show.
Great to be with you guys.
Yeah, we're glad to have you here. And we were kind of talking before about how do we get innovation sort of more integrated into longstanding companies in Connecticut. And we were thinking manufacturing. We'd love to talk about how you get the two to kind of have a synergy, as Mike says a lot. And, I think Connecticut's really focused on manufacturing the last couple of years, especially. We're the only state with a chief manufacturing officer. We've really tried to build that up and attract middle and high schoolers. How do we get the two to now connect together?
Yeah, it's amazing what manufacturing has done over the longevity here in Connecticut. And, many people don't know how strong manufacturing is in our state. It's our second largest industry sector, about 12.5% of our economy, and projections are that it will probably be the number one industry sector over the next 5 years in Connecticut, given the growth that it's had. And a lot of that is driven by innovation. People think of manufacturing as kind of dark, dirty, dingy, the old days of manufacturing, the industrial manufacturing.
Very archaic.
And today it's just state of the art. I mean, you go to a manufacturer and it's more computers and robotics and AI and automation, and certainly a productive workforce that has come along with that innovation. So in manufacturing, really the intersection of innovation and workforce coming together.
Let me ask you about CBIA's role in all this, because we were just talking with our previous guest about some of the big players, the Pratts, the EBs. These are folks that are building submarines that float under the ocean and stealth fighter jets. We have a lot of manufacturers here in Connecticut that still are what you might call the middle class of manufacturing, right? They might be looking to some of the big players. They might be looking to institutions like Yale, like UConn for help as they want to adopt innovative practices and implement that across their business. What role does CBIA play in sort of facilitating those conversations between folks looking to innovate and folks who know how to innovate?
Yeah, we broker those conversations. We are the statewide manufacturing association for Connecticut. We have almost 1,000 manufacturing members in our membership. CBIA's roots go back to 1815 when a bunch of manufacturers came together on the banks of the Connecticut River in Middletown. And believe it or not, back then, America was 39 years old. They were promoting tariffs. They wanted tariffs because we were buying so much from outside the U.S.
Wow.
And they said, hey, don't forget us, the new America, the manufacturers in Connecticut. And that's what CBI's advocacy has kind of stemmed from since 1815, is advocating for the business community, but certainly manufacturing a big piece of it. And so we broker a lot, especially those small manufacturers, as you mentioned. 4,800 manufacturers in Connecticut. The average size manufacturer is about 20 employees. When you strip away the top 100 companies in size, the average manufacturer is about 8 to 9 employees.
Wow.
And so they're not aware of the tools in the toolbox. They're not aware of the ecosystem that's out there, the state programs, the education systems, the innovation that's out there. And so we really, help them plug into that system, education, events, networking, newsletters, really being a source for those manufacturers.
Yeah, like a middleman. And I think something that we've talked about in previous conversations with the Made series is that there's a lot of misconception around AI and innovation. And I think especially if you're, I would say, more of an older generation where you've had a successful business 40, 50 years, you know how the industry works. And then the idea of bringing in this innovation or kind of an unknown territory can be scary for a lot of people. How do you facilitate that?
Yeah, it's basically showing them what it looks like. So being able to bring them to a manufacturer or another business that's done it. Now, oftentimes it is a bigger manufacturer who's maybe a little further down the road, But many of our small businesses, they need to see it. They need to feel it. They need to touch it in order for them to adopt it. You can talk all day long about what it may look like, but they actually need to, physically see it. And so sharing what other companies are doing, again, through networking events, but basically benchmarking, that's how we're able to get those smaller folks engaged. And a lot of people, I think they forget, because we do have some great brand names in the state, that 99-point-something% of our companies in Connecticut are small businesses. We are the land of small, mid-sized businesses, entrepreneurs, innovators. And so we have to get to those levels. And that's the hardest part, is making those small businesses understand what's happening there so that they can keep up.
Can I ask, innovation is such a buzzword, and I think when people say it, it conjures up images of automation, robotic arms on the assembly line. I would imagine there's also examples of innovation. For example, innovation in the supply chain, innovation in human resources, innovation in workforce training. That might not be in the world of bits and computers and automation, but is real world, not that those aren't real world, but sort of tangible physical world innovations that could even take the form of organizational innovation. Can you talk about some maybe unexpected innovations, some things that are maybe wouldn't fit in that traditional definition, but you find innovative in Connecticut businesses?
A lot of it is what people learn at when they go to our events and events like this, right? It's kind of we call them best practices, but they're innovation. So take, HR, retention and recruitment tools. There's a lot that employers are asking, like, what are some great innovative retention and recruitment tools? We move beyond the flexible workforce, the hybrid environment, the telecommuting, and like, what else are people doing for very innovative benefit packages, innovative compensation packages, innovative work-life balance packages, innovative culture and engagement packages. So you're absolutely right. Innovation isn't just technology and robots and hardware. It's also what you're doing on the softer side. So culture, engagement, and we often get companies reaching out to us like, what are the great companies doing around benefit packages and culture and keeping people engaged?
Yeah, well, I think it's exciting stuff, Chris, and I think you speak such truth to what can feel really scary for a lot of people, but I think more and more it's becoming, certainly from a buzzword to really understanding it and then living by it and creating more opportunity for people's businesses. So we want to thank you for what you do and for sharing all that here on our Made series.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
We'll be right back. And we're back here on Made Conversations. What a great episode. All those conversations were fascinating. I have to say, my favorite part as a history nerd was with Dave going through the history of Connecticut.
I could see it. I mean, if you weren't able to watch Mike's face, the little wheels, I could see them turning in your head. I think what's also exciting, too, is a lot of the times we don't really know all the different industries that are really advancing. I thought our conversation with Jodi was so cool, and to hear about some of the things that might be coming soon in the healthcare world, I thought that was really interesting, too.
Yeah, and you look at other parts of the country that are known for an industry or for an innovative practice. It is what I think I said was sedimentary layers of sort of a chicken and the egg. The company comes first, the research comes first, the people follow, and then it just sort of snowballs. And I think what you're seeing here at the Yale Innovation Summit is sort of folks helping roll that snowball and maybe kick it down the hill so that here in Connecticut we can have that effect that we've seen in other parts of the country. Yeah,
and I think too it's really, I think, really motivational when we talk about the big players. A lot of the time that's always the focus, but I thought both Chris and Dave touched on the fact that we've got a huge amount of small business mom and pop shops that also have this opportunity to really be more innovative in what it could do for their companies and their business model, and I think that's exciting and also eye-opening for a lot of people.
So we're here in New Haven. I have to ask you, journalist to journalist, where are you getting pizza for lunch today? Where are we going?
I'm not allowed to say that.
Why aren't you allowed to say that?
How dare you?
You have like a loyalty to one of them or something?
No, I kind of want like all of them. Am I allowed? Is it okay if I just have one of each?
Sure.
Is it
Yeah,
fine?
you
Are
can
you
have one of
judging me
each.
that I'm going to have like 17 pieces of pizza?
No, never.
Okay, great.
Never.
Why, you? Where are you going?
Probably up to Hartford.
Really? Okay.
Well,
Fair enough.
We will see you next time. We'll talk about this next time on the next Made Conversations series. Thank you so much to all of our guests. Thank you for Melissa, and thank you to Yale University for hosting us today. We'll see you next time.